Ah. Hello and welcome to this episode of Weld.com. My name's Adam Stretch. I'm the program coordinator and welding instructor here at Pellissippi State Community College in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm also a certified welding inspector and an educational consultant here at Weld.com. I'm here to explain to you guys, per some viewer requests, about the American Welding Society's welding positions. So we're going to get it started and take a deep dive into these welding positions, and hopefully you'll be able to have a much more thorough understanding when we get done. Let's get started.
In this episode of Weld.com, we're talking about those American Welding Society welding positions, the common or industry standard welding positions. Many of those are identified in the D11 Structural Steel Welding Codebook. We have 5 basic joint types: a butt joint, edge joint, a corner joint, a lap joint, and a T-joint. Our T-joint is going to give us our fillet welds, where our butt joint will give us our groove welds. These other 3, the lap, corner, and edge, fall under either fillet type welds with their lap joints, and our corner and edge can have both or either a fillet or lap in them.
As we talk about those 5 joint types, we have the butt joint, where we butt the 2 pieces up to one another. T-joint is where we stack one on top of the other. This is where we get those fillet welds. We move into a lap joint. A lap joint is going to be one overlapping the other. One overlapping the other, we would end up with a weld here or here. This is also used for spot welds or plug and slot welds to join 2 different plates together. And our corner, we can line up like this. There's different orientations. Here, 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 depending on the type of weld that's being applied to that corner, and if we're going to prepare that piece with some kind of a bevel. Our last is going to be our edge. Our edge is where we would stack the 2 next to one another, and we would be welding the edge of this up. Could either be this edge or this edge. Edge joint, we may leave these 2 just butted up, or we may put a groove on each one and pair them up this way, and we're going to weld down the edge.
All right, now that we understand the 5 joint types, we're going to talk about how they're applied. We're going to start by talking about that T-joint with a fillet weld. When we talk about fillet welds, we have 4 positions we talk about fillet welds in. The 1F, 2F, 3F, and 4F position. Flat, horizontal, vertical, and overhead.
So the 1F, we're going to start here. At 1F, it's going to be at about 45 degrees on the horizontal and vertical member, right? It's creating a little trough here. So when I take my weld, again, stick, MIG, TIG, and I come in here to apply my weld, it will self-level from side to side. All I got to do is make sure I point down inside that joint and travel nice and consistently. And it will give me a nice flat weld leveled out on both sides. Easy way to check is I can just lift it up and make sure that my toes of my weld are equal as I look down this. At 2F, I'm going to have 1 horizontal and 1 vertical member. I'm going to take that horizontal member and vertical member, and I'm going to come in here with my stick, rod, MIG gun, or TIG torch at approximately 45 degrees. And I'm going to work my way across, whether I'm pushing or pulling, depending on the process. Now I can check and make sure that my toes are laying in there very equally and my angle is right by simply rolling that plate to the 1F position, and I will be able to see then that the height of my toes is coming out as far as it's going up. The other thing you could do is picture yourself with your speed square coming in here just like this. That'd be getting you set at the right angle for that. So you get that weld in there. That was the 2F position. We moved into the 3F position. This is where our hands were looking at us like this. Remember, when we stepped up to the 3F, we have to determine whether we're going to weld vertical up or vertical down. A vertical up in the 3F position, I would start at the bottom of my plate and I would manipulate that weld uphill. Make sure you check your welding procedure or the thickness of material, your process, strength of the weld. A lot of things come into play. But a 3F vertical up is going to look like this. A 3F vertical down, I will start at the top and I will work my way downhill. Finally, we have that 4F. That's that overhead weld. We have one horizontal and one vertical again, though this time our horizontal member is on the top, where the 2F was on the bottom. Very similar to our 2F weld, though I will get in here with that 45 degrees. Now, if you are struggling with this, you can check it by just holding a speed square up to make sure that your torch is coming in at the right angle. So you're going to work your way then across, pushing or pulling based on your process and your manipulation choice. Now, this is called overhead welding. Again, this does not mean it has to be over my head. I could be underneath the table and reaching up to get that weld, and we're talking about the axes of the weld being an overhead position, or 4F. Just like with the 1F, the 2F, even the 3 and 4, I can hold these back to that 1F position at 45 degrees, and I can make sure that my weld has equal length toes and that it is going in properly and I've got the right angle for my electrode. All right, now that we understand how the fillet welds lay out, let's take a look at the groove welds. This is going to be our butt joints that we're going to see groove welds in. Groove welds are going to be a 1G, a 2G, a 3G, and a 4G. That G stands for groove. So we've got a groove set up here. That groove, our 1G position, will be coming in perpendicular. I'll be perpendicular. So I'll be coming in here and I will be welding, pushing or pulling, depending on our process, with my torch, TIG, or stick rod perpendicular to that joint. So we're going to be working away like this. There is a little bit of allowed variance to stay inside of a 1G, but we're pretty much going to stay right here about 0 to 10 degrees. The 2G position, I'm putting my plate so the weld axis is horizontal and the plates themselves are going to be vertical. So I have a vertical plate with a horizontal weld axis. I'm going to come in here and weld this just like this. Remember, with this type of weld, you're fighting gravity just a little bit, so you want to make sure that you push the weld up just a little bit into the groove with just a very slight upward angle as we're working on this. The 3G, I simply rotate the plates so the groove itself is going to be vertical. I will be making a vertical weld. Now, this is where we start getting into that vertical up, vertical down again. In the 3G vertical up, I will start at the bottom of the plate and I will work my way uphill. Some manipulation may be helpful in this application. In a 3G vertical down, I will start at the top of my plate and I will weld down. I need to make sure when I'm doing that I stay on the leading edge of the puddle, otherwise I trap it and I totally lack penetration inside of there. But that is very process specific. Our 4G, again, that's our overhead. Our plate has gone back to being overhead. That doesn't mean it's got to be over my head. That just means the axis of the weld has moved to where I'm going to be welding in this position. My rod, stick, MIG, or TIG will be pointed up and I will be welding overhead, or 4G. I could be laying underneath the table and just having to reach up from the bottom to get this weld in here.
We have the flat, horizontal, overhead, and vertical. And not only are we given a little bit of leeway in the angle we're at, we're also given just a little bit of rotational leeway. You do have to make sure, if you are a certified welder following a welding procedure, that you meet the minimum qualifications needed for these different positions. Fillet welds and groove welds are very similar in the angles of rotation that we are allowed And the book even specifies our groove and fillet weld designations. As we look at in the D11 Structural Steel Welding Code book, we have both groove and fillet weld applications. And as a welder qualifies in those positions, the positions they are qualified to weld in. It is very common for a welder to take a 3G, 4G test in a groove weld, especially on something like a 1-inch plate, because the plate thickness and those two positions will qualify then for flat groove, horizontal groove, vertical groove, overhead groove, flat fillet welds, horizontal fillet welds, vertical fillet welds, and overhead fillet welds. By taking that 3G, 4G test, it qualifies in all of these applications. It does not qualify us, though, in pipe under 24 inches, so we do have to make sure that if we're using plate or pipe, we're making sure we meet those qualifications with a weld cert test.
We just got done discussing the fillet welds and groove welds on plate. And now we're going to move on to pipe. Pipe, we're going to keep that 1G, 2G, we pick up a 5G and a 6G in this application. We're going to talk about that 1G. I'm going to use this marker as my example, whether it's our stick rod, MIG gun, TIG torch. Our pipe is going to be mounted horizontally, and my weld is going to be coming in from the top, as you can see here. But as you see, I've got this mounted up in a positioner. And so when I put my foot down, the positioner is actually rolling the pipe for me. I don't have to try and keep up with the weld. I just set my speed rate, and I would roll the pipe while putting the weld down. It takes a little bit less operator skill. You just got to make sure you get your settings dialed in so that your rotational speed of your positioner, and whether it's your amperage or your wire feed speed or your ability to TIG weld, that you're all dialed in. You hit that pedal, you're off to the races, lay down a nice looking weld. 2G on pipe. The pipe will be mounted vertically, but the axes of the weld here will be horizontal, just like we had on with the plates where it was a 2G weld. We've got that weld axis is going to be horizontal. This will not move though. It stays in this position. So I'm going to get out my welder here, weld rod, and I'm going to be coming around either left-handed or right-handed. Make sure you work on both skills. All right, we've covered the 1G, where the pipe is rolling, the 2G, where the pipe is horizontal. We're moving into the 5G. The 5G, the pipe is going to be mounted horizontal, with the axes of the weld being vertical. Now remember, this one we had to determine whether we're going vertical up or vertical down with our progression. In our vertical up, more common, we're going to be starting on the bottom with an overhead weld, transitioning into a vertical up weld, and finishing off with a flat weld across the top. In the vertical down, we're going to start up here at the top. We're going to be working our way downhill, so we're going to go from flat to vertical down to overhead as we complete this weld. If we're doing boilers and pressure vessels, high pressure type, that's commonly going to be done in a vertical uphill. If we're doing low pressure, oil and gas type lines, that will be done in a downhill manner. So our AWS here is our 5G. The pipe is mounted horizontally, and we just have to weld uphill or downhill around the outside of this pipe. All right, the last position we've got here in pipe is that 6G position. The pipe is actually mounted at 45 degrees. You can check that either with your level or your speed square. You come off your table, make sure that you're at 45 degrees. It stays fixed here. You're going to have to, just like your 5G, weld from the bottom up or the top down. Again, that's going to be determined whether this is a 6G vertical up or a 6G vertical down. 6G vertical up, you're going to start down here on the bottom, come across and up and over the top. 6G vertical down, you would be starting at the top, coming across, down, and finishing through the bottom. Now, it does depend on the procedure that you're following. 6G is typically the hardest weld test that somebody's going to take, because as we look at the American Welding Society's different code books, if you pass a test in the 6G position, it typically qualifies you for the 1F, 2F, 3F, 4F, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 1G, 2G, 5G, and 6G pipe applications. And that's why this single position is used to qualify the most for a welder taking a welder qualification test. Again, make sure you practice welding right-handed or left-handed, because you never know if you're going to be able to get inside that joint, make that weld. One fillet weld that applies in the pipe application is called the 5F fillet weld. Now, a fillet weld on pipe to plate in this position would still fall under the 2F. However, if I'm welding a pipe to a plate or a flange where this is fixed and I'm going to have to start on the bottom and work my way up, or start on the top and work my way down, that would be a 5F fillet weld. This is a specialized fillet weld using to join flat surfaces to round surfaces, usually in the pipe trades.
Pipe and tubular test. Remember, we look at a 6G test. A 6G test qualifies us in all positions with one test on plate and pipe in both groove and fillet weld applications. And that's why that's such a popular testing industry. Something slightly more representative of what you would encounter in the field, though, would be a 2G, 5G, because those are the welds you would typically encounter. And if you took a 2G and 5G test combined, that would also qualify you for the flat, vertical, and horizontal. That does not qualify you, though, on the 6G application. And that's why that 6G application is used so frequently in industry as the go-to test. It covers you for everything. Now that we've covered all of those joint types, fillet weld types, groove weld types, pipe weld types, applicable welding codes, it's time to take all this new knowledge, don your PPE, and go make some money.